Teni the Dreamer. Part 1. It was a rainy afternoon. Teni sat on the bag she had packed a night before, mindless of the weather. She waited patiently for a taxi. Teni was convinced that she had nothing left for her in her small village, the village in which she was born and brought up in. Teni decided to venture into the big city in search of greener pastures. On her arrival at the big city, Teni was met with the buzzing and bustling of the big city. Though Teni was only familiar with the peace and quietness of her small village, she was now ready and willing to experience a new life. Teni had big dreams of becoming a very wealthy and influential woman, and she knew she couldn't achieve that in her small village. In no time, Teni got a job at the big city. She was committed to making her dream become a reality. Teni worked extra jobs. She worked tirelessly. Whenever Teni felt too tired to work, she encouraged herself that once she had accomplished her dreams, she wouldn't have to work anymore. So Teni worked as hard as she could. However, at the end of a whole year, Teni, calculating all her savings, to her surprise discovered that she was worth only pennies. Teni got very sad and discouraged. One afternoon, Teni met Victoria. Teni and Victoria were classmates back in the small village. Teni was so surprised to see Victoria, and even more surprised to see how well Victoria was doing. Victoria was also pleased to see Teni and invited her for a drink. At the drink, Victoria, hearing Teni's plight, promised to help Teni and guide her on how to make money faster in the big city. Teni was very pleased, and she assured Victoria that she was ready to do anything in order to achieve her dreams of becoming a wealthy and influential woman. Victoria hurriedly introduced Teni to Samson. Samson was the most feared drug lord in the big city. Samson was very eager and pleased to meet Teni, seeing Teni's innocent looks. He knew that Teni could easily work past a police checkpoint without arousing any suspicion. Samson offered Teni lots of money, informing her that all she had to do was deliver products to customers that need them. Teni was so happy for her newfound job. It was less stressful and paid more than her previous jobs. Teni went about delivering all the product she was given, just as Samson had instructed her to. She had soon exhausted all the product and hurried back to Samson for more. Samson was very pleased with Teni's zealousness. He knew with her, his business would grow even faster, so he doubled her pay and product. Soon Teni could feel her dreams beginning to materialize, as she could afford whatever she wanted for herself. Meanwhile, at the police department, there was news of abundance of hard drugs within the city. The police had always done their jobs to search any suspecting person or vehicle to rid the city of drugs, but their search and patrol didn't seem to produce any results. John, one of the police officers, decided to whatever he can to fish out the drug dealers and make sure they face the wrath of justice. He decided to go undercover in order to trail the drug dealers much better. One afternoon, Teni, on her way to deliver product as usual, met a young charming man on the bus. They had few conversations. The young charming man invited Teni to a drink later that day. Teni honored the invitation. That night, Teni and the charming young man had a lot of fun together. They partied, drank, and danced all night. Teni was so glad to have met John. The next day, John asked Teni if she would be his girlfriend. Teni's joy knew no bounds. She was so happy that her whole life was coming together. She eagerly accepted John's proposal. To Teni, she was slowly exceeding all her dreams. John and Teni hung out so often. They went on several dates together. They became so inseparable, at least so Teni thought. One day, John overheard Teni on the phone with Victoria. Victoria had called to tell her that the products were ready and the customers were waiting for their delivery. Later that day, John asked Teni to introduce him to her friend Victoria. Since she was the only friend John has heard her talk to, Teni happily agreed and promised to fix a date with Victoria. Comment for part 2.